Hello everyone, it's Michelle. I have a pretty exciting video for you today. I think it's just been long overdue that we had a chatty Q&A and a little life update, and I do want to say I have a cold sore and I thought about pushing this video to filming it next week because of the cold sore, but I just woke up and I was in a chatty mood. I wanted to talk about this topic. It's today officially is July 6th, which means my last day at my previous job was June 6th, so it's been a full month and I'm just in such a happy, good place. Really excited about the future, excited about job hunting. I have an exciting job interview tomorrow and I'm just feeling really good, excited, hopeful for the next chapter, and I'm finally in a place where I'm able to just like talk about this topic. If you're new here, hi, my name is Michelle. I run this channel with my sister Aline, and we live and work in New York City and make vlogs here on the Michelle and Aline channel. Try to keep things cozy and fun over here. Up until recently, worked in social media marketing for a tech company, and I've been working in social media marketing across various industries since I graduated from college in 2018. And yeah, that is my current situation. I also do have Instagram, TikTok. Why don't we get into it? Let's get started with fresh-faced me, bearing my cold sore for all to see. Hello, so we're starting off this get ready with me life update Q&A chatty video with a fresh face. I'm just going to get into putting on some makeup. I'm gonna see what questions you guys have about job hunting, leaving a job, why I made that decision, how I knew it was the right time, all the things that probably people have been wanting to know. I'm going to start off with my favorite tried and true glow screen. All right, so I think that this is a good question to start off with, just giving a little bit of context if you're new here or just didn't know. Someone asked, how long were you at your job? And I think a lot of people are kind of confused with the timeline of this last job that I had. I started as a contractor in March of 2021, and although it was advertised as a part-time position, it very quickly became the majority of my workload. I think some people are confused because I was officially converted as a full-time employee in March of 2022. But even before I was officially converted to an FTE, I was a full-time employee. I just was technically a contractor, and that's how the paperwork was filled. I would submit invoices, but I was fully on the brand and social team for around a year and a half. I was working freelance when I first started this job, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew I wanted a little bit more structure. I knew I wanted a little bit more financial stability, and this seemed like a cool opportunity, and I just kind of went for it. And then I officially stopped taking on clients in the summer of 2021. So it's kind of like a jumbled timeline, but I was there for almost a year and a half. So just to clarify, I didn't just work there for 2 months and then quit. Okay, so by far the most asked question was, why did you quit? How did you know that this job wasn't for you? What changed? May I ask what happened with your job? What was the final straw that led to your decision to quit? What made you quit? Do you think you'll go back to corporate? Okay, so we're sensing a theme. Most people want to know the why behind my decision, which I think is very fair. I, from the very beginning, knew it wasn't really a dream job of mine, and I didn't want it to be. I really enjoyed having a job that was just a job. It was the first time in my life that I was able to really detach my value and my identity from work, because it was something that was just simply what was paying my paycheck. Of course, I was passionate about the work I was doing, but I have a lot of other passions, and for me, life has become so much more than my career, and I was really able, through just having this job that was just a job for me. It wasn't my identity, it wasn't my main passion. I was I'm going to try to stick this out for a year, 2 years, maybe 3, but that became increasingly harder throughout the time I was there. I want to say in the summer of 2021, I came home to Montana and I was really happy. I was telling everyone I found this job, it's part-time, I'm able to still do other projects, and it pays really well, and I'm just really enjoying it right now, and we'll see what comes next. And that quickly changed. There were some managerial and structural things that changed within the team that I was on, and you could definitely tell I started being pretty heavily micromanaged, and it felt like I really wasn't trusted in my role, and it was really hard because I've had a lot of workplace related anxiety and honestly trauma from being in some pretty toxic environments. There was just a lot that changed in regards to the environment, the style of management. I became so much more anxious and less confident in my work. I started not really feeling valued or capable or trusted in this job. There were lots of points where I was requested to list out every single thing I did in a day and provide that before signing off. My Google Calendar was monitored pretty closely to see like every single task that I was doing, and when I didn't update it accurately, I was confronted. It became a very stressful, hostile environment where I didn't really know where I stood, and I feel like there wasn't really a lot of opportunity to provide feedback to management on that. And when I tried to communicate, I'll admit it, like I'm a people pleaser. It's really hard for me to practice any sort of confrontation, and when I did try to speak up or advocate for why certain things took a specific amount of time, especially when it comes to graphic design, video editing, copywriting, those things, if you want them to be good, which I take a great deal of pride in my work, those things take time. I feel like I could list everything that I did for this job and still not remember everything, because it, quite frankly, was a role that should have been for 2 people or even 3. And that's a pattern that I've come across with social media marketing, is that it's just such a new industry that pretty much at every company, even like a pretty wealthy company with a lot of resources, you are going to be wearing a lot of hats. And I usually really like that. I like having my fingers in all the pies and being a part of the process. I feel like I've learned so much and have become just such a better marketer from it. But when it gets to a certain point where you're being spread so thin that the work quality is going down, as well as the quality of your mental health, like that's how you know that there's an issue. It all boils down to, I felt like I was being spread too thin. My mental health was declining, the quality of my work was declining. But when it gets to the point that you're trying to express that you're being spread too thin, that you feel overwhelmed, that you're struggling with your workload, and management doesn't really want to hear it, and instead they point the finger back to you, and you're being interrogated with why things are taking a certain amount of time, that you just need to use your time better and that all these problems will go away. I just think that it gets to be really unfair and left me feeling unheard, really deflated. It just left me feeling not really that great about myself and just not really respected in that work environment. And I also do think that it's just not very professional to not listen to your staff and listen to the problems and concerns that they have. And even if there are other issues going on, find a way to tackle it together and work on these things together and give them the support that they need so that they do feel valued and heard. Someone asked what the last straw was. The last straw for me was when I was still being expected to perform and deliver my workload even when I had COVID. Partially that was me in saying that I would finish the content calendar for the next week by the end of the week, and so that's on me for even like saying that I could do that. But it was work outside of that content calendar, and it was messages that I was receiving that just seemed to really like lack perspective and empathy, and it just felt so demeaning to be, you know, sick with COVID and getting these really passive-aggressive Slack messages that made me feel like I couldn't just take time off to heal. I was thinking it over and I was so anxious, could not eat, like was struggling, and I had COVID and was not able to get like the proper rest that you need to recover, and I was just not mentally able to like even take care of myself through having COVID because I was so stressed about my job. There had been red flags here and there throughout, and a bunch of other ones that I'm not even going to talk about because this video would be like 2 hours long. And And this was just kind of like the last straw where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see how I feel on Monday. And if on Monday I feel like we can really just get past this and work through this as a team and really talk about how we can come together and support each other and really find like tools and systems in place that work for everyone so that they feel like their workloads are balanced, that they're able to come to work and put their best foot forward and be the best employee they can be, and that the quality and quantity like make sense for each role. I used the Ilia blush, by the way, and the Milk Makeup bronzer, and it was the opposite of that. So I got on my morning call, my morning like team touch point meeting, ready to go through the content that I had put together when I was sick with COVID. And I got on this call and my content was like ripped to shreds. I pride myself on taking feedback and not taking it personally in the workplace. In other areas, I struggle. But in the workplace, I feel like I am really open to feedback. But the way that this feedback was being delivered was so, to be honest, like it was just mean and unprofessional. And I was in shock, considering especially that I had just had COVID and that I had done all this work while sick. It was handled so carelessly and so irresponsibly that I knew right then that I needed to leave and that nothing was worth staying. And I sent in my 2 weeks notice right after that call. That was the last straw. I just know this video is gonna be like 10 years long. So there's a lot of questions about how much I saved up before and do I have a safety net? What's my financial situation that I was able to quit without a job lined up. I do want to say that I have a lot of privilege in the fact that I was able to save up a great deal of money, especially through the pandemic, because I was living at home while also working a 9-to-5 job, salaried, and was able to save a lot of money on rent there. And I also don't have any student loans, so I have no student debt. So saving for me has been a lot easier than it has been for probably a lot of people. And that being said, I had a good like nest egg starting this job, but then throughout the time that I was working there, I was making a lot more money than I ever had before. I was making 52K at the last job, and then my most recent job I was making 85K, which is the most money I've ever made in my entire life. So I feel like I would just regularly put half my paycheck in my savings account. And again, a huge privilege. I don't have a mortgage, I don't have kids to feed, unless you count Birdie. We were able to get a really good COVID deal on our apartment, so there's just certain expenses that I just don't have. I also do want to clarify that I do not get a cent from my parents. I'm fully financially independent. So when I quit my job, I had around $22,000 saved. And ideally, I'm not gonna blow through this money. Like, this was my savings. I was aiming to like continue saving for like retirement and grown-up things. Now it's become kind of my survival fund. So that's the reason I was able to quit without a job lined up, where even if I'm unemployed throughout like this next, I guess it has been 1 month. So if I'm unemployed for like another month, maybe a couple months after that, like I'm totally like able to live off of that money. I do have brand partnerships here and there for YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, which is so helpful, and another very privileged thing to be able to do is to get money from brand partnerships. It's definitely not enough to live off of by any means, especially when I usually, me and Aline split that money in half. I'm not at all a full-time influencer currently, but it is helpful to just have that money coming in and not stress myself out about like still being able to enjoy my life and to kind of like maintain my lifestyle and not crumble into a state of anxiety. I also have been nannying here and there. Like, I'm super happy that like right around the time I was leaving my job, I connected with a few families in the neighborhood and have been nannying here and there. Again, that's just mainly for like spending money. So I've been using my savings for things like rent and bills and groceries, and then the money that I get from nannying and brand partnerships I've been using to be able to still like go to brunch with friends, or, you know, like buy a new summer dress at Old Navy. I am by no means aiming to be like unemployed for longer than I have to, although it has been nice to be able to take my time, be intentional, really work on my myself, and then also my resume and cover letter, and try to make connections, and use this time also to just like find myself again and just take care of myself and heal the wounds that have been created. I think that you absolutely don't have to have $22,000 saved to make this work. Definitely have at least, like, I think 2 or 3 months of living expenses saved. I think that that's probably the best thing you can do. If you can do 4 months of living expenses saved, that is even better, just in case. It gives you more power to be able to choose your next step. Of course, I know the pros say get a job lined up before you quit, but I've never done that. And I'm just fine. I'm mainly job hunting for full-time jobs again, just because that's what my heart is currently telling me, but I am very much open to freelance work. Depending on your industry that you're in, or what role you've had, or what experience you have, being open to freelancing while you job hunt is also a great way to make some extra cash. Someone asked if I had a plan before quitting, so obviously I knew that I had enough savings that I could be okay, even if it was for just like a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's gonna be of me trying to find a new job. But I just want to stress that I was in such a bad place mentally. I'm literally have just like stopped doing my makeup out of like, I don't know, passion about this subject. I was at my breaking point, and I didn't really plan to leave before those last, like, I think there was like 2 weeks leading up to when I left that I was just like, this is getting really, really, really bad and just not sustainable lifestyle wise. Honestly, ideally, I wanted to stay for another year, and I just physically and mentally could not fathom it. And it just became a point where, even though it was a high paying job, for me at least, and even though I loved the work I was able to do, I didn't find it worth it. There were some other things about the job where I didn't necessarily like really connect with my coworkers. I didn't really feel like I was growing or learning anymore. I felt like a lot of my ideas people were taking credit for them. Like, there were a lot of other things. It wasn't just this one issue. Like, it just compounded over time and became intolerable. So I left without really a plan. I knew I had this ability to live off my savings and influencer partnerships and nannying, of course. I try to live a life based off of being like pretty aligned with my feelings and my well-being, so that was that situation. People were asking a lot about like how I'm doing emotionally, how I coped through the stress, how I am really. I do want to stress that I'm doing so well now. Like, a month out, I'm really just, I'm happy, I'm excited, I feel more confident, I feel like capable and really proud of my skills and my ability, my experience. Like, I feel so much better just not being in an environment where I'm constantly being told that I'm not good enough. I'm really good. I'm really happy. I've been focusing a lot on like getting outside and like practicing movement daily and trying to create my own content and have fun with things like making TikToks for myself. And I've been super excited about the jobs that I've been applying for, and there's just a lot of opportunities out there. Also, the outpouring of support from like my friends, my family, you guys, like, has been amazing, and it's just so encouraging. And just like knowing that I don't have to step foot in that job again just makes me feel so free and so happy. And just this sense of relief overcomes me when it's like Sunday night and I know that I don't have to go back to that job ever again. Just makes me feel just so at peace, like free and at peace, and I feel really good. But I will say, the weeks leading up to when I quit, and then the last 2 weeks from my like 2 weeks notice period, were such excruciating anxiety, where I like could barely eat, couldn't sleep, was incredibly anxious. So was really, really anxious leaving, and then after I left, I fell into like a really bad depressive period for like probably like 2-ish weeks. It was really, really hard, and people were asking for advice, and like I think that like the only thing I can say is that like it's normal to be struggling, and like please like get help if you need it. Dealing with the aftermath of all the things that were said to me and the way that I felt in this role was just, I was like emotionally like not in a very good place. I felt really insecure, really hopeless for like 2 weeks. Staying busy has been probably what's been helping me the most. So applying for new jobs, getting excited about these opportunities and my next steps, seeing friends, creating my own content and like being creative in that way. I also do want to get back into doing more art and just like playing and having fun, and then going on long walks, listening to podcasts. Exercise has been really helpful during this time to just kind of like get those endorphins and also just like reduce any anxiety. So I've been loving going to workout classes, trying to create more of a routine. It's really easy to fall into a pit of just, well, what's the point of getting dressed or like doing anything when I don't have to? And sometimes that feels fantastic, but like other times it can be kind of lead me to spiral. Planning things to look forward to. I've been journaling a lot and that's also been really good for me. So yeah, I think that like I'm in such a better place, and like these have been ways that I've coped, but like at the same time know that you're not alone. You're not the first person to either quit a job or get laid off from a job, and that you will figure it out again. People are saying like favorite thing about my last job. My favorite thing about my last job was probably one, the stability, like having a paycheck that actually covers all of your expenses and more for the first time is like a crazy experience, and so that freedom and stability was awesome. Really enjoyed that. I'm currently missing it, but I also did really like the content that we were able to produce while I was there. Like it was really just fun and really focused on like small businesses, and that's a huge passion of mine. So yeah, I really like that about it, but unfortunately the cons outweighed the pros there. I think this is a really good question. How do you deal with the internal and financial pressure to be productive 24/7? And this is such a good question because I think during my depressive period, so like the 2 weeks after I had my job, I was trying to cosplay working and being like a working woman. So I would like wake up, get my coffee, like sit down and do some work, whether that was answering emails, editing a video, planning pictures for Instagram, negotiating with brands, pitching brands, like. And I was just like really trying to like squish myself back into this box of like that I'm still working, like maybe not 9 to 5, but maybe more like 11 to 7 or something like that. And I think that things changed for me when I realized that this time is not permanent. So why am I trying to like really lean in to imitating my old workflow when this time is very temporary, and that I should be like making the most of it and like treating it as more of a sabbatical and more of a positive thing than looking at it with disdain and with stress. And although I do have days where I'm doing like a bunch of productive stuff, whether it's like deep cleaning the house, going on like a hot girl walk, and then coming back home and editing a bunch of content, answering a bunch of brand emails, applying for like 7 jobs, redoing my resume, like all of these things, I do have days where I'm doing that stuff. But it doesn't have to be every single day, and it doesn't have to be Monday through Friday. Your schedule can look so many different ways, and that's okay. And it does not relate to your value as a person. So I've tried to just have days that I have fun on a random Wednesday. Like maybe I'll go to the West Village and get a coffee and walk around and take a Pilates class and just like have a slow day. And it has helped me so much. Maybe the last question I'll answer. You guys asked so many amazing questions. You always do, and it makes me want to answer them all, but I know that editing this is going to be a pain. What are you looking for in your next role? What are your priorities? What would your ideal job be if you could do anything? Do you see yourself going back to a 9 to 5 or doing a mix of jobs? Do you think you'll go back to corporate? What qualities are you going to look for in your next job? Are you looking to work in the same field you worked in before? So to answer these questions, oh, I should probably finish my makeup. That would be good. I use the Merit eyebrow gel. It's so good. Just very natural. And I also did put on the Milk Makeup bronzer on my lids, which I've been liking for more of a natural look. So I'm very open about this next chapter. Your life can take such a turn, and you might say that you want to do a certain thing and then you end up somewhere totally different, i.e. when I started freelancing at the end of 2020 and I went back to more of a corporate job a few months after. It all depends on the opportunity. It all depends on like how the timing of your life ends up landing. I am looking to go back to a more corporate role or a more like 9-to-5 job. My brain just, I think, works better with having one manager, one team, one brand to create an identity and a social media presence around, rather than having like a bunch of little projects here and there, especially since I already do that with YouTube and Instagram. One thing that was great about this last job was that I realized how much I do like it. It just has to be the right fit. And I actually do like going into the office, just I prefer a hybrid, so I'd rather be in the office 2 to 3 times a week rather than 5 times a week. So I am looking for mainly stuff based in New York City, although I had a job interview recently that was fully remote, so I am open to it if it's the right thing. I do still want to work in social media marketing. I really love it. I just wish that the role was given more support and more resources to be able to have more support where you're not doing every single task that could be potentially related to social media. It is multiple jobs in one, and that's been my main struggle with working in social media marketing, but I just genuinely just think it's so fun and I love it, and I'm just really passionate about what I do. So I definitely am mainly applying to social media roles, but one thing that I've been kind of looking out for, again, super open if things look different to this, but one thing I've been looking out for is positions that are more focused towards a specific platform. So maybe it's a TikTok specific position, or maybe it's a YouTube specific position, or maybe it's just Instagram and Facebook, or just Instagram, or just video in general. A little bit more focused towards one platform or one area of social media marketing rather than like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, management and content creation, and a million other things. Because as much as I love doing all those things, and I'm of course willing to pick up slack as much as I can, I find that it results in like poor quality work, less ability to be consistent, and burnout. And I'm trying to gear away from that because it's been kind of a pattern in my last 2 roles. But at the same time, I'm very open. I think that I would be totally willing to take on a larger workload, as I have in the past, if there just was more support from my team and more understanding and patience that like it is a lot of work, rather than the manipulation to try to convince me that it's actually not that much and that I'm just slow. That's kind of what I'm looking for my next role. I think my priorities, I'm really open to all industries. Another thing I learned from my last job is that I can enjoy social media marketing in a vast range of differences. I've worked for a small accessories brand, I've worked in beauty, and now I've worked in fintech. For me, financial stability is huge, although like take my last job for example, for me the environment that I was working in was not worth the paycheck. So that's just my personal opinion. I know some people might think that's crazy and they're like, what are you doing? Like, you should just like put your head down and take the paycheck and keep going. And I tried for like a 1.5 years to do that, but I eventually was at my breaking point. So for me, obviously financial stability is huge, but I am open. The team environment is massive. Who you're working with is more important, I think, than so many elements, like so much more important than the company itself, really, I think. Although of course, like ideally I want to be somewhere that aligns with my values, but I think that having a supportive team, having a manager that respects you, who you respect, who you can learn from and grow with, is massive. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm looking for from my next job. Although again, very open. I've gotten to a point again that like a job is can be something wonderful and fulfilling and allow you to have freedom and choices in life, but at the same time, a job is just a job, and I have so many other things about me that are way more interesting. I'm valuable regardless of my employment status or title, and I just want you guys to remind yourselves of that too, because I did get a few messages from you saying that you're going through the same thing. And I've been through this period before, which is I think where I get a great deal of peace, where I was in 2019, early 2019, I was laid off from a job because they couldn't afford to keep me full-time, and then I obviously quit my last job to go freelance. And so I've been there where I've fallen and I've had to pick myself back up and try again, and it's exhausting, it is hard, but like I've always ended up okay. I will be okay and better than okay yet again. Someone asked if I regret leaving any of my other jobs, and like honestly no, like 100% no. The reasons why I left were so valid and were so right at the time. Although I will say, when I left, not this most recent job, but when I left the job before that, I did have a period of like obsessing and questioning whether I made the right decision, especially when they opened up their new flashy office, and I was very much watching my coworkers' Instagram stories and just like being so envious, especially because I was not happy with freelancing, and I felt like maybe freelancing wasn't filling the like void that I thought it was going to, or scratching the itch that I thought it was going to. But that didn't invalidate like the whole reason why I left, was because it just was not the right environment for me. And it was great because I was actually able to freelance for them, and that experience just reminded me of all the reasons why I left. It was kind of like going back in time. Like, it was really cool. Like, I was really like regretting leaving, and then I was able to kind of like try it again in a different way with like less stakes, less commitment. And it just reminded me of all the reasons why I was unhappy, and how all of those issues were still there, and how I did make the right choice. So I don't at all regret leaving any of my jobs, but I did have that experience of like being so scared that I made the wrong decision, and then being like, oh no, I was onto something there. Okay, I think I answered most of the questions, or at least the most asked questions. I will absolutely be vlogging this next chapter of my life, and I am so excited to share it with you, and hopefully someday I'll be able to vlog my bold type life for you, and it'll be very exciting. But yeah, I have no idea what's to come, but I'm open and excited. Thank you all for checking in on me. Honestly, I'm doing just dandy. I am so happy right now and so excited about the future. I have a job interview tomorrow for a very exciting opportunity, so good things are coming my way and your way. I just know it. I hope you were able to look past the cold sore. I did use the Merit lip gloss in the shade Taupe to kind of like cover it up. Thanks for being so kind and sending such thoughtful and great questions, and all the kind words of support are so nice and really do mean the world. So thank you so much for watching. I do want to say, please follow me on TikTok if you haven't already. You can follow Aline on TikTok. We're trying to post like every day or every other day over there, just because it's short form content is a lot more doable consistently. So definitely follow us over there for just more regular content. And then I do post on stories pretty much every day as well, so you can follow me on Instagram for just more regular content. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, which will be a vlog, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'm excited to see what this next chapter brings for us. Bye.